each and every one of you. It is Friday, August 29th, 20. Good morning, Bobby Carr. Good morning, my brother. Good morning to all of you. It is Friday, August 29th. August is almost over. Monday will be Labor Day, which means I will not be on the air um, for Labor Day. Like the rest of you, I'm taking that day off and we'll just figure out our way. It is. Today I have a show that I literally had to pray about. Literally. Um, I did some research. I asked a ton of questions. I talked to quite a few people. And then I had my producer call. Good morning, Laura. Good morning. I had my producer call and also make some inquiries, because we always want people to be aware of what's going on and don't blindside them. And this is it's Child Abuse Awareness Month, which is ending shortly. And so we really just want to talk about what's going on here. This conversation that I'm having at 7 a.m. will also have a therapist on board. I wanted to make sure that I was doing the right thing by making sure that, the voices were being heard and that there was therapy involved in all of this. Um, Good morning, Winnie Love. So here we are. I'm going to start with a little bit of news. Good morning, Viola, Shaquilla, Melissa, Donette, Beatrice, too, Marguerite. Good morning, darlings. Good morning, Laura. I see all of you and I see Bobby Carr over here. Good morning, Monica Adams. What are you doing on Facebook, girl? You're supposed to be over here on YouTube with me. What's happening? Winnie Love 007. I tried to ask all of you to go on over to YouTube. There's going to come a point, and I've been saying this to you since the beginning of the year, where I'm going to slash Facebook and Instagram. I'm going to share a little secret with you. I have been broadcasting live simultaneously from this platform here. Go look for Divine Mother Diva on Facebook. You should see this platform. Let me just go look just to make sure I'm not telling you the wrong thing, because I think it's been simulcasting from there for a while, and you probably will be able to hear better from there. Let me see. Divine. So I'm going to cover a little bit of news. It's Friday. What are you guys doing for the holiday? Because believe me, I told my son, I said, I'm not, let me follow. All right, so let me go on over here. I think we're broadcasting live here. Yep, we're broadcasting live here. So you can see. That's awesome. Wow, look at this. Go on over to Divine Mother Diva. You should see me over there broadcasting live. Okay, because I see them. August 13th. They're all here. They're all here. Wow. So if you can't see it there, then come on over to YouTube, because I am broadcasting live simultaneously. All right, here we go. Good morning, Fee and Jazenia. Good morning. Good morning to all of you. I'm going to cover a little bit of news, so I need you all to pray for me as I get ready to do this interview at 7 a.m. And you'll understand why once we get there. But it is important. I spoke to two folks, and I asked them, I said, are you sure you want to do this? And when the one person answered me and said what she said, I said, okay, then we'll be able to do this. So we're going to go there. But let me do a little bit of news for all of you. 4 years after Fantability was fatally shot by police in Delaware County, her family calls for reform. Wednesday marked it's been 4 years since 8-year-old Fantability was killed by police gunfire outside of Academy Park High School's football field in Sharon Hill, Pennsylvania. Her family and community members gathered at the site to remember her and renew their calls for justice. We can't believe it's been 4 years already, Sadiq Kamara, Fanta's cousin, said. Today is a very sad day for us and a very heavy day for us. The tragic incident occurred on August 27th, 2021, when police were responding to a shootout between a 15-year-old boy and a 21-year-old man near a crowded high school football game. Just a lot going on. So let me I'm going to keep looking. Here I see Divine Mother Diva. I don't know if I still can't see if it's broadcasting live here yet. But it's here. We'll see. So there's that. Good morning, Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Hi, Kia. Good morning, my darling. Good morning to all of you. Ah, she said I couldn't get on YouTube for some reason. Try again. You're going to want to. I promise you, you're going to want to try and get on YouTube this morning. Um, so the mayor of Philadelphia found $135 million to give to SEPTA while the state is still waffling about what they can't do, who they're going to do, what they're not doing. The mayor and her team pulled $135 million from their budget to fund SEPTA so that they can restore some of the services that had been lost because the amount of children that were being late for school, no fun, right? No fun. I'm looking up, let me just read something that someone, and it's so funny. She found $135 million and somebody was complaining, but yet she couldn't find money for other things. I'm like, yo, you just can't win for losing out here. So let me see. This was by KYW that happened. Let me see if I can pull it up because they put it in newsbreak.com sometimes, and I want to make sure I'm able to open this. Attendance down as Philly students who take SEPTA struggle to get to school on time. Philadelphia students who ride SEPTA are still struggling to get to school on time since SEPTA's deep service cuts took effect the day before the start of classes. Superintendent Tony Watlington said attendance has been up and down. There's been one news report that said it's been down to about 70%. Children are getting to school and they're getting to school super late. They're saying that they're not penalizing them for getting to school late, but there's some students who just gave up. The two buses one young lady said that she had to take to go to school were both cut from SEPTA. So it makes perfect sense to me that the mayor and her team would pull together and find some money, because this even though this is not her bailiwick necessarily. This is her city. And so they found the money to make sure that they can do that. So there's that. So that's happening. But SEPTA was also sued by a group of riders over ongoing service cuts. So we'll see. That was on Fox 29. President Donald Trump says he has fired Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook, an unprecedented move she's calling illegal, per the Associated Press. In a letter posted to his True Social platform on Monday, August 25th, Trump announced Cook's firing, noting allegations of mortgage fraud lodged by Federal Housing Finance Agency Director Bill Pulte. Pulte previously claimed Cook made false statements on two separate mortgage applications in light of your deceitful and potentially criminal conduct. Oh my God. It's a financial man. So they're trying to get her out. That's the bottom line. And so then she sues the thingy. She sues Donald Trump. The SEPTA cuts are impacting those that utilize SEPTA's CCT Connect services. The line provides transportation for individuals with disabilities and senior citizens. 4 days into SEPTA's cut, and CCT Connect customers are feeling the impact. It's so slow, said Arlene Paul, a CCT Connect rider who uses the service to get to South Philadelphia Adult Senior Center. The last 2 days, they picked me up about 15 minutes late, which isn't so horrible. They have to make a lot more pickups. It's all the traffic on the roads because of the SEPTA cut, so it's not really the driver's fault. So there's that, and that was Fox 29 News. Jesus be offense. I want to know if I am the only one. Ashley Babbitt, the Air Force veteran fatally shot while attempting to breach the Capitol during the January 6th insurrection, will be granted full military funeral honors, a reversal from the Air Force's initial decision to deny her the honor. According to the Huffington Post, the Air Force reversed a 2021 decision to deny Babbitt full military funeral honors due to her illegal actions during the Capitol riots. Reviewing the circumstances of Ashley's death and considering the information that has come forward since then, Secretary of the Air Force Matthew Lemire, who approved the reversal, said in a statement, "I was persuaded that the previous determination was incorrect. Babbitt, 35, was shot by Capitol Police Lieutenant Michael Byrd as she tried to climb through a broken window into the Speaker's lobby. where lawmakers were being evacuated. Bird, who was cleared of wrongdoing, said he repeatedly commanded Bobbitt to stop, but she refused. I tried to wait as long as I could, Bird previously said. I hoped and prayed no one tried to enter through those doors, but their failure to comply required me to take the appropriate action to save the lives of members of Congress. BB, Lord have mercy. Good morning, y'all. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. I make the inference, as Akil Parker said yesterday, this is logical thinking. They stormed the Capitol on January 6, 2021. They were shouting, they were screaming, hang Mike Pence. They were trying to find the Speaker of the House. Someone defecated on her desk. Just all sorts of things going on. They've all since been pardoned, except maybe one or two. And she was shot and killed because she was trying to get into the chambers after the police officer, but they gave her full military honors 4 years later. Make your inferences as you can. Whew. When Pat Scallon heard gunshots around the corner from his Minneapolis home, I didn't know exactly what it was at first, but after about the 10th shot, I knew something was wrong, he recalled. Scallon raced to the Annunciation Catholic School, where he said he saw a magazine on the ground by the church. It was eerily quiet. And then I immediately turned and ran to the front of the church, and right at that time, everyone was coming out, and it was chaotic. 6abc.com, one of the little girls that got shot in the head asked a bystander, please just hold my hand. Whew, Jesus, I can't. All right, now, remember there were speed cameras put on Broad Street? Here we go. The Philadelphia Parking Authority says all speed cameras along Broad Street will be installed by the end of the month. The cameras will go live in mid-September. A 60-day grace period will happen when speeding drivers will be given a warning. On Wednesday, city crews were installing the last of the 30 automated speed cameras that will be placed at 15 different intersections. The cameras will start in South Philadelphia at Broad and Patterson Streets and extend all the way up to Old York Road near Cheltenham Avenue. It's like a highway, Carl Robinson, who lives in Philadelphia, said. Sometimes they run through the light because they're going so fast they can't stop. So just know that the signs that have been posted on Broad Street from then until now has been 25 miles per hour. I don't know a soul who drives 25 miles per hour, but you'll start to see folks slowing down now because those tickets are no joke, right? So we're here. So that's from the PPA, the Philadelphia Parking Authority. Speaking of, I got a warning from them that I was late for something that I was in for whatever, and I had never gotten a ticket from them, right? Never gotten a ticket from them. So when they sent the warning to me about this thing that I had a parking ticket, I went to pay. The website down. The website's been down. The website's been down. So a friend of mine took my ticket and is trying to figure out if someone from PPA can let me know what to do about this. They claim we will not be accrued any interest, but I also want to challenge this ticket because on the day in question, I can't remember being in town. Remember, I'm sleeping by 6 o'clock. They claimed I was downtown at 6:30. And you all know, if you know me, you know I'm not in town and I'm usually sleeping at that point. So I'm trying to figure out what the hell is going on here. So we're gonna knock that one out. About 100 people from Philadelphia are expected to join the Reverend Al Sharpton and the National Action Network for a march down Wall Street in Lower Manhattan on Thursday to protest the actions by the Trump administration to intimidate Black-led cities and dismantle DEI policies. The Reverend Jerome Fordham, head of NAN's Philadelphia chapter, told the Tribune that concerned Philadelphians will be headed up on buses his group has chartered, with more traveling separately. Fordham said the decision to march in New York while National Guard members and other forces have taken over policing duties in the nation's capital is divine intervention, whatever that means. That's from the phillytrib.com. I'm trying to calm myself, y'all, because I know what's coming. And I'm trying to just cover the news. But the news is just as depressing as anything else. While a motive in the Annunciation Catholic School mass shooting remains under investigation, police said that they've confirmed that Robin Westman, the 23-year-old suspect, had attended the school, and Westman's mother previously worked in the parish. Police determined that Westman harbored a whole lot of hate towards a wide variety of people and groups of people, and also had a deranged obsession with previous mass shooters, Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara told ABC News Live on Thursday. An 8-year-old and a 10-year-old were killed, and 18 people, including 15 children, were injured when the shooter opened fire through the windows of the Minneapolis Schools Church on Wednesday morning. All injured victims are expected to survive, and some have already been released from the hospital. 6abcnews.com. The White House released a list of Smithsonian exhibits and items it objects to due to what it says is woke ideology. This comes on the heels of a letter the White House sent to the Smithsonian announcing an internal review of several museums. President Donald Trump said the White House directed sharp criticism at the Smithsonian and its museums. Trump took to social media, writing in part, "The Smithsonian is out of control, where everything discussed is how horrible our country is, how bad slavery was." He went on to say that he instructed his attorneys to go through the museums. Now, let me say this to all of you, and I'm going to be as succinct and as thoughtful as I know how to be. A people who don't know their history is doomed to repeat it. I'll say it again. A people who don't know their history is doomed to repeat it. Based on what's going on in this country right now, I had the pleasure of meeting and speaking with Isabel Wilkinson, the woman who wrote Cast, The Origins of Our Discontent, and Warmth of Other Suns Told in a Story Format, after she interviewed 3 people who were part of the Great Migration from 1923 who were still alive. It took her years and hundreds of hours, thousands of hours, she said, to really pull this story together. I then began, based on what's going on in the country right now, I then went back to read Warmth of Other Suns for the 4th time. For the 4th time. It is 1,000 pages long. But if you read it or use it in Audible, I read it with my eyes the first time. This 3rd time that I'm listening to it again, I am doing it on Audible, because as I'm driving and going to meetings, etc., I'll get 15 minutes, 20 minutes in, an hour in, depending on where I'm going. I need you all to go read that book. Everything that they talked about in the late 1800s, right after Black folks were emancipated from slavery, and they began running for Congress and winning their seats in Congress, and then they were able to build wealth. All of that was going on, and folks started to get angry that Black folks were able to build wealth, and they began burning down their towns, submerging their towns and making them rivers and lakes, etc., etc. In the early 1900s, and people went back from getting out of slavery, having a period of time where they could roam freely and build wealth, to going back to, whites only buses, whites only fountains, colors, etc., etc. And there was a portion of time in the 1920s, 30s, and 40s where Black people said, "We're done," and they got up. And they didn't make an announcement. This is what I loved about this. They didn't make an announcement. They began migrating to Chicago and Philadelphia and Cincinnati, Ohio, and Detroit, Michigan, etc. I need you all to go and listen to this audio book, because much of what we're talking about today is much of what was going on back then. We tend to believe as a people that we're a part of the fabric of what this country has been about. And the truth of the matter is, I put up a video the other day, there really is no place for us. There really is none, right? And so there's a resentment that Black women went and got all these degrees. Black women were the most, when that news came out, that Black women were the most degreed people in the country, I began to see the spiraling. Now Black women are the most laid off in the country. And so we're navigating through all of that now. And I've asked you all 1,000 times, please think before you post. My good friend Oswald just became a grandfather, and he posted the whole name of the baby. And I screamed in my throat. I'm like, we don't understand what's happening the information that they use when we get on the internet and use it. There has been a conversation that YouTube is now going to require that you upload your ID in order to use YouTube, because they're trying to protect children. Right? But where's your identification going? Where's all that information going that we're going to be purportedly asked to upload? So it's a thing. And so I've planned for all of this, by the way. So, if you see me filter and move, then you'll understand why. But just understand that there's something afoot that is happening. And while you're okay now, I keep saying to you, live beneath your means. I can't say it enough. Spend less, save more. Spend less, save more, right? And try to figure out how you navigate along the way. It's just a lot. Joanne says the U.S. is in such an alternate world anymore, where evil is good and good is evil. Wow, to those who call evil good, Isaiah 5:20. Yeah, Dr. Jana. Oh, so Ask said YouTube was delayed this morning. Okay, good morning. Good morning, Ask. Sometimes I don't know. Hey, Monica. She said I couldn't get on. Oh, because YouTube was delayed. Okay, I got it, guys. I absolutely get it. Good morning, Renee Mills. Good morning, my darling. Good morning. Sometimes they're delayed, right? Good morning, Jasenia. Monica says, I avoid Broad Street and Roosevelt Boulevard at all costs. I know I will definitely get a ticket. That's funny. Now, Roosevelt is 40 miles per hour. I can do the 40 miles per hour. I'm going to have to avoid Broad Street, because I know I go at least 30, 35 miles per hour on Broad Street on a good day. I just, but the posted sign says 25. So we'll see what happens. Viola says Brooklyn, New York on Eastern Parkway have those 25-mile speed cameras. You will pay attention or have lots of tickets. Yep. So here we are. What time is it? All right. So we have a little bit more time to read some more news before I go into this interview. Lord have mercy. The Philadelphia Water Department, this is local news, so for those of you who are local to Philadelphia, then you'll hear this. The Philadelphia Water Department is turning up the pressure. The utility company is raising rates starting next week. Beginning September 1st, Philadelphia water rates will increase by nearly 10%, or $8. That would bring the average bill to about $91 a month. Then bills will go up again the following September. The increase is to support aging infrastructure and prevent things like water main breaks, sinkholes, and bursting pipes. Yep. So your water bill is going on. Wow. My God. 4 people, local news again, 4 people were injured after a large tree limb snapped and struck them in Philadelphia's Fairmount Park on Wednesday afternoon. According to witnesses, some of the people injured were playing dominoes under a tree near South Concord Street and Memorial Hall Drive when the limb snapped just after 4:30 p.m. Fire officials said 2 people are in stable condition and 2 are in serious condition. So that happened. CBSNews.com, Philadelphia. Do you remember this? This is national news. Minnesota prosecutors filed misdemeanor disorderly conduct charges Tuesday against a woman accused of using a racist slur against a black child at a playground, an incident the woman has since used to raise more than $800,000 after she appealed for help with relocating. Defendant wrongfully and unlawfully engaged in offensive, obscene, abusive, boisterous, or noisy conduct, or in offensive, obscene, or abusive language that would reasonably tend to arouse alarm, anger, or resentment in others, the criminal complaint alleges. A social media video of the April. This happened in April. She was charged in August. Who, child? Who, child? Who? My Lord, unto day. I cannot. Let me see if it's on now. I can get you guys, because everything was delayed this morning. Still delayed. I don't see it yet. Okay. All right. I see Akil Parker from yesterday. He was on. All right. So let's move on from there. That was Philly Trib. Microsoft fired 2 employees on Wednesday after they broke into the office of the vice chair and company president Brad Smith earlier this week as part of a protest of the technology company's purported links to Israel. The terminations came after a group of 7 people broke into executive offices at Microsoft's global headquarters in Redmond, Washington, on Tuesday to hold a sit-in. No Azure for Apartheid, an advocacy group organized by Microsoft employees, said in an Instagram post that current and former workers from Microsoft, Google, and Oracle were part of the group that occupied Smith's office. The protesters, who were arrested by police on Tuesday, were demanding that Microsoft cut ties with Israel after The Guardian reported earlier this month that a unit of the Israeli army is using Microsoft's Azure cloud platform to surveil Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank. That was written by CBS News. Researchers at Penn State University have found a fast and inexpensive way to diagnose diabetes early through a breath test. Currently, diabetes must be diagnosed by measuring glucose levels through blood or sweat tests that involve visits to the doctor, lab work, time, and expense. But a breath test developed at Penn State can pick up high levels of acetone in one's breath, an indication of diabetes, and return the results in a few minutes. The study is published in the September issue of the Chemical Engineering Journal. About 38 million Americans have diabetes, which occurs when the body does not produce any or enough insulin, or when the body is unable to use insulin. Insulin is needed for blood to move glucose to cells for energy. As a result, glucose builds up in the blood, creating blood sugar levels that are too high. Oh, God. So it says 38 million people currently have diabetes, but over 100 million people are pre-diabetic or are diabetic in this country. Let's call it what it is. All right. I see one of my guests already here, so we're going to let that person in and go from here. Let me see what's happening here. Viola says her county taxes for next year are $374, the senior rate. That's awesome. So let me So the therapist is on. Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, and you're nice and clear. Yes. I can hear you very clearly. Let me introduce you. I'm telling you, this is a conversation. Good morning, Teresa Brown Paris. Good morning, Renee Bills. This is a conversation I'm not looking forward to. Can I just tell you?
I can understand that.
Yeah. So let me introduce you while I wait for the other guests to show up. Lord. This is my Mary E. May is a relationship therapist with a keen ability to facilitate healing for youth, teens, and adults that require a pathway to work towards strategies to deal with violence and trauma when it manifests in their lives. In addition to being a passionate therapist with over 25 years of experience, Mary is also an innovative trainer, educator, presenter, and public speaker. Her expertise in domestic violence, bullying, suicide prevention, and teen dating violence makes her an exemplary choice for seminars, workshops, and symposiums and mornings with Marva.
We will add that to the bio.
Yes, because you're about to become my resident therapist. I mean, we so identify when you talk with us, right, about what's happening with our children and what we can and can't do, and how soon. When you talked about that, the earliest child, thank you, Renee, the earliest child that took their life was 5. Was it 5 or 7? How old is it?
It was 5.
It was 5. It was 5. It did something to my soul, and so we have to figure out how can we support our young people and really listen to them. You are aware of this conversation because I called you after I spoke to my 2 guests that are coming on, and I don't know if you could hear the tears. And it's like, I can't do this, Mary Alyssa, man. This is too much. It's a lot.
I heard we join together and understanding the necessary conversations are often the hidden and silent conversations, I believe.
Yeah. How do we navigate when children come to us and say, this is what's going on? How do we navigate? Because social media our teens and our young adults right now don't look the same to me. They're
Correct.
operating differently, right? Um, and as parents and grandparents, we often think that the way things were back then are the way things are now. Um,
Hmm.
and I don't know. I don't tell us what you're seeing as it applies to what's happening with our young people. And I'm also going to have you back on to talk about domestic violence because baby,
Got it.
okay.
Got you covered.
What are you hearing now in your therapy practice from families, with teenagers and what's going on with them?
So it's a loaded question the way you framed it, and I know the conversation. Do you want me to shape it around the conversation that we're having today?
Yes.
Okay. So there are a lot of teens, young people who are experiencing personal violation to their bodies, that can involve physical assault, sexual assault,
Mhm.
bullying, and the number increases. But because as adults, either we have a more seasoned mindset around what bullying and assault looks like, or we just believe that we have been the most phenomenal. Of course, my whole setup just fell.
No worries.
The most phenomenal parent, that of course I've protected my child because I've dealt with the same thing, and I didn't want that to happen with
Mhm.
them. Um, okay, I'm sorry, trying to make sure I'm still set up.
No worries.
And so the initial reaction is usually from an ego perspective, that the
Mhm.
adults say, not my children, this couldn't happen. What did the child do to place themselves in the position,
Mhm.
versus just trusting and believing like what it is that they are sharing with us, and believing them first versus protecting the person who has violated them. We oftentimes alienate the child that's coming to us. And so then that manifests into, well, I can never talk to you. You always blame me. I might as well go outside and seek sources that may not be healthy sources. It may be that they're out here and they're the children that we see on the news that is
Mhm.
causing crimes, or going to Lululemon, or going to all these
Mhm.
different places. They're acting out more because they can't be seen at home for what has happened to them. And that's
Mhm.
not always that child that's always outwardly aggressive. It could also be the child who insulates and becomes the scholar of A plus plus, in everything that they're doing. And they're just basically so independent that they become invisible, which is what they're seeking, is to become invisible, because when they were seen, this bad thing happened to them.
It's interesting that you say that they either go from one place to the other. I had a conversation with a friend of mine, maybe about 3 years ago,
Hmm.
in about 2 years now, who is an overachiever, running
Hmm.
for political office, but while running for political office, felt like a deer in headlights because they felt like maybe somebody would figure out what was going on with them. And what they disclosed was that their father was sexually abusive to them for
Hmm.
years, and mom knew, uh, other family members knew, and
Hmm.
what they kept saying was, "You can't talk about this. You're a public office official, blah 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 blah," and it's
Right.
very difficult. So this person has never been able to move forward with their lives, even
Hmm.
though it looks on the outside like they're achieving all sorts of wonderful things.
Absolutely.
And so there is this feeling of, I, do people really know? And so they have yet to publicly talk about it, but I believe it will spill out at some point. But when a child says to you, even if it's uncle so and so or grandma, even if it's your grandmother, because women are sexual predators too, right?
Fa-
Women can be
Definitely.
sexual predators. So if a child continues to say, "I don't want to go, but I got to go to work. I gotta, these are the things that I have to do." What is your advice to parents? Because I think that happens way more than most. What is this?
Mhm.
Let me stop because there's a lot going through my head at one point.
I
What
hear
are
it.
the
I hear it.
stats saying about children being abused? Is it family members? Or is it strangers? Who are normally the people that these children are abused by?
Normally, it's by someone you know, and someone who has been around the family for quite some time, possibly a cousin, a nephew, an uncle, a auntie. Is someone who is close proximity to your family. It could be someone who your child you met because they go to gymnastics or whatever sport activity, and now you have become like the play dates or whatever, and so now that predator is easily accessible to you, and basically set up the situation to build that trust, to make things feel comfortable, to get that access to the child that they are going to eventually begin grooming for the inappropriate sexual act.
And what happens if the family believes the child,
Mhm.
and then they're getting pushback from other people? What happens in that scenario?
It's a very strong position for a parent to have to take, especially when it's the family member who you would have least expected that would violate in that particular way.
Mm-hmm.
Um because they have to make a decision on, do I believe my child, protect my child, but then what does that look like for me and my relationships? And I think the challenge that comes in for the adult who is the parent or the caregiver of the child that's reporting is, I don't want to be alienated. I don't want to be punished because XYZ child has allegedly, air quotes, made up stories before
Mm.
about things happening that we end up finding out are not real. But do we really interrogate the real statements that are happening, because we look at the cost of our ego or where it's going to position us,
Right.
that we no longer have childcare, or we no longer will be able to go to the family cookout, or we will now be alienated because our child has said whatever statement about so and so family member. That family member is the family member that pays for the cookout. That family member is the one that makes the impossible possible, because they always seem to have the resources, be it
Yes.
childcare, be it financial, be it
Yes.
they're just also available. So
Yes.
what would like look like differently, and
Mm-hmm.
the inconvenience of it, the inconvenience that I now have to do research, or I have to now position myself differently, is where adults become compromised. And
Okay.
so then therefore the child again becomes invisible and begins to seek out just people outside of the home.
Yeah. My guests are having technical difficulties, so I'm going to hold on, 4 6. I'm trying to make them call in instead because they're having a hard time getting on.
Okay.
Uh, oh God, it's just so. I don't want to say anything about who they are until they're actually on the air with me, so we can have a conversation, because this is terrible. Let's also talk a little bit about what happens when it's in the church. Tell me what you said to me last Saturday about child abuse in the church.
That it happens way more than we know. Like that's the breeding ground for most of sexual assault is within our church communities. And that goes across cultures. It's not just one denomination over the other. That goes across cultures, and it's usually led by some of the most prestigious leaders in our communities, who are playing that double duality role, but they have the role of leadership. They have the role of being a trusted member. They have the role of they that we must do things to make sure that they're happy and that we're pleasing them in some particular way, because there's going to be something that's going to benefit the family in the long run. So it's like that power dynamic is already put into place, but the place in which we culturally believe is where we're getting our spiritual fueling, our spiritual feeding each week, is
But
also where
who
we're
but
getting
who
violated.
takes care of the child? Who hears the child?
In the religious community, it's very difficult because no one will hear the child. They will push that child to the side. This is just my experience. Let me not say in all situations. This is just my experience. And it's happened, unfortunately, over several situations that I've dealt with related to the religious communities. The child is the most invisible because they're a child. They're seen and not heard. So whatever it is that they are saying is not accurate, and definitely not towards the leader that they're accusing that has done such things.
Right. We've heard them talk about it in the Catholic churches a lot.
Facts.
What we don't talk about a lot is that it happens in our Black churches.
Facts.
So now, how do we see? This is how parents who believe their children find themselves in a predicament, because you don't give birth to children to allow them to go through something like this and then think it's okay. I'm still trying. Mom said they were having technical difficulties. Okay,
Okay.
responded to me. Because I also would not have a conversation with the young person without mom, right? Or
Right.
without you. I was really. Here we go. Welcome to Mornings with Mova. How may I help you?
Hi, this is Anisha.
Hi, Zanisha. Where is your daughter?
She's she's in Delaware.
Is she? Can she call in with the same number?
Yes.
All right. Ask her to call, and I'll merge you guys, please.
Okay.
All right. All right.
Alrighty.
Don't hang up. Don't hang up,
Oh,
Zanisha.
no.
No, don't hang up. Just text her and tell her to
Okay.
to call in, and I'll merge the both of you.
Okay.
You're having problems. You're having problems. You know what? In fact, hold on one second, Zanisha. Text me her. Text me.
It keeps telling me to wait for someone to let me in.
But I don't see you on this side.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? So here's what I'm going to do. While I am talking to you, I'm going to send you the link again. Because listen, this is my show, honey. We can stay on as long as we want to.
Okay. Can you send it to my Gmail account?
Okay. All right. Text me your Gmail account because you're live on the air right now. I don't want them to hear that. So text me your Gmail account. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. Do that now, and then we'll get into the conversation.
Okay.
Oh, God Almighty! It's always something, y'all. But we're gonna stay.
Always something.
It's all right.
Okay.
It's okay. You keep going. I got you.
Okay.
I got you.
And technology is always trying to fight us in
Technology
the healing process.
always, which is when I know that it really something good is going to come out of this. Just
Right.
give me 1 second. Let me.
Okay, so
All
I
right.
guess I'm gonna leave my setup alone.
All right. You stay right here, and you keep talking to me about the what happens in the churches, because let me tell you something. I'm tired. I remember going to one church where the pastor's husband was messing with all the young girls. And we
Mm-hmm.
kept going, and having the conversation. And finally she, stood up in the church and said, she made her husband sit down. And she's asking for forgiveness, but that man was still in the church. He just was a lot more careful because he didn't want, to be outed. But this keeps happening, and what the
Exactly.
pastor said was, well, he's a man and men will do, like, what is happening here?
Sex is the act of sex is the biggest economy next to pharmaceutical companies in this country, because there's a lot of ways that sex is used as a currency to show your power, to exert you getting that gratification that you need. And we don't talk about that, especially culturally. We don't talk about that.
Yeah.
um in the church communities, as you were like describing and helping the family to get connected, I thought about like a young teen who had been hospitalized. 302 was his involuntary commitment because of her aggressive behaviors and cutting behavior. But when she was talking to me, it was after doing a domestic violence like seminar workshop, and she was coming to have that sidebar conversation to say that the pastor had sexually assaulted her, as well as the person who
Wow.
played the
The
drums.
drums.
And as she was speaking to me, she was unsafe in that community, because as she was talking to me, she kept looking back to the other corner where the two people who she was identifying in the conversation were physically present. And she
Oh,
said,
wow.
they often take me downstairs to the community room during service, and that's where the violations would occur, but nobody believed her. And so she was hoping that I would be the adult that would believe her, but it was tricky on helping the adults understand that she really needed support. That's why the 302s and the cutting kept occurring, that those two behaviors were interconnected, not separate.
All right. Zanisha, are you listening to all of this?
Yes.
All right. Did you get the email?
I'm checking right now.
Yeah, and I'm going to talk to you while you try. I'm hoping you can, do two things at once. Let me introduce you to the people. Zanisha Puentes is Nevaeh Scott. It's an 18-year-old woman, and she's found strength in speaking out about the abuse she went through as a child. She shared her story because she doesn't want anyone else to feel silenced the way she once did. Beyond her experience, she's someone who values family, faith, and creating safe spaces for others. Using her voice is part of her healing, but it's also her way of making sure children and survivors are protected and believed. Zanisha Puentes is Nevaeh's mother. She's here to support her as she shares her story. She has walked through her journey of survival and healing, and she hopes by standing with her today, others can see the importance of listening, believing, and supporting survivors. Zanisha believes as Christians we are to speak up for the vulnerable, and Zanisha is passionate about advocating for children's safety and giving survivors a platform to be heard. Zanisha, can you text me Nevaeh's phone number so I can merge her into this call, please? Thank you, honey. Can you tell me a little bit while you're doing this? I know you're multitasking. While you're doing this, what happened to your daughter? And please know, for those of you who are watching now, I have a therapist on. I did that on purpose. We reached out to the church where the alleged violator preaches in the ministry. They never responded to us, right? There was no email address. We searched up and down for an email address. We couldn't find an email address anywhere. So my producer called and left a message for them. I know they got the message because they've been on my Facebook page. And they don't know how I know, but I've seen them. I see the whole church on my Facebook page, something I've never seen before, right? So when people search you out, it shows up on your Facebook page. So I know that they got the message. Hold on, let me see. Hold on. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, sweetie. Nevaeh? All right, I'm going to merge you and your mother. Hold on. Merging the calls. Okay. Can you both hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I have on the line Nevaeh and her mother, Zanisha. Nevaeh, good morning, and thank you for being willing to have this conversation. I know it's not an easy thing to do. I have a therapist on with me, Dr. Mary Alyssa May, so that she can walk you through some of the things as you're talking about them, because I don't want to leave you raw, open, and exposed in this conversation. Can you explain to us what happened to you?
When in 2022, when I was living with my uncle, Paul Scott Jr., he took advantage.
I can hardly hear you. It's hard to hear you, Nevaeh.
Okay, 1 second. Can you hear me better now?
Yes, much better.
Okay. In 2022, I was sexually assaulted by my uncle while I was in his care.
Okay. And who did you tell?
I immediately called my sister first, and then she called my mom and everybody else.
Okay. This is your mother's brother, correct?
Yes.
Whew. Okay. Can you tell us why you want to have this conversation today? Because I saw your Facebook post through Nikita Canada. Did you feel like no one was hearing you, no one was listening to you?
Yeah, a lot of people, especially like in my family, they didn't believe me. So I wanted to bring awareness to it outside of the family to help other people who may have been through the same things and, are scared to speak out.
And what did you find? Was there anybody else who had gone through the same thing in the family?
Yeah, there were actually a couple people.
Okay. Mom, can you talk to me a little bit about when did you first notice that something was going on? Or did you notice before Nevaeh spoke up?
Yes. Actually, it was about, I want to say a week or so before then, Nevaeh has contacted me because she was at work with my brother. And she was by herself, and I felt that was kind of strange. And she had contacted me later on, letting me know about some things that were done that made her feel uncomfortable. And then the day of that particular day, I tried all day to get in touch with my brother, because by that time he had started, or before that time, he had already started alienating me from Nevaeh.
Mm-hmm.
And that
say more about that. When you say he started alienating you from your own child, what did that look like?
That looks like not letting her talk on her phone. When I would call, he wouldn't let me talk to her. When I tried to schedule visits, he wouldn't let me visit. And the shoots went on for weeks and weeks. And finally, the one day in particular, I was calling all day. I knew something was off. I just didn't know exactly what it was. And I couldn't get in touch with him the entire day in order to talk to Nevaeh to make sure she was okay. And it wasn't until that evening when I finally had gotten the news of what happened.
Okay, so Zanisha, backtrack for me a little bit. Nevaeh, I'm not ignoring you. I just want to get from your mother's perspective, what's going on here. Why was Nevaeh with your brother?
Because during COVID, when the children were out of school, I started having some home issues with Nevaeh and reached out to my family for help. And my father, who I had talked to see if he could take her for a couple of days to give us that time and space, had referred me to my brother to take her for a couple of days.
And at that point,
turned into longer.
Okay, so and at that point, you weren't realizing that this was where the problem was. Are you aware now, in hindsight, that when children start acting out, is a direct result of things happening to them?
Yes, well, she was currently at that time residing with me,
right?
And then went to reside with my brother.
But had she been spending? So Nevaeh, let me ask you this: when you reported that you were allegedly assaulted by your uncle, was there other activity happening before that made you feel uncomfortable? How old were you when you first began to recognize that something was off with your uncle, with you in particular?
Honestly, it was just when I moved with him. Before then, I hadn't spoken to him in a while. Like, he kind of fell off the face of the earth. He didn't really talk to our family. So I hadn't seen him in at least 6 months to a year before he took me in.
Right. Mm. And so once you got there, how long was it when you got there that you started to feel that something was off with the way he reacted to you?
Probably a couple months in, towards the school year, because I had a dance and there was this dress that he did not like, and it was just a weird, not a fatherly pick a different dress. It was creepy.
And when you say creepy, can you describe what creepy means for you in your language?
When I put the dress on, he was staring really, really hard, and then made me turn around and all of that. Mm-hmm. And it was it wasn't a super tight dress. It was just I don't know, something you get from TJ Maxx. It's a simple type sundress. Mm-hmm. And I wore a jacket with it, but he didn't like it because it was too form-fitting.
Okay. When you say that your uncle assaulted you, was it just weird touching, or did it go further?
It was weird touching.
Okay. Zanisha, when she came to you and said that this was going on with her, walk us through what happened then.
Well, what happened then was she, I still wasn't aware of what exactly had happened, because before then I had contacted my brother, no, my brother had finally contacted me that evening and stated that he was massaging Nevaeh's thigh because she had a cramp in it, and she said that it was that something else happened.
And she said something else happened. When you spoke to your father, what did your father say to you?
My father, at first, he was just as confused as I was. And then on our way to a service on the following Sunday, he said to me when we were on our way, he said, "I know what happened to Nevaeh. Your brother touched her." And he said that the Holy Spirit had told him that.
When you and I spoke, you talked about violation that has happened throughout your family, that this is something, there's a history of this in your family. Why is it that no one is following up with you? Like, why do you feel supported by the family? Because I reached out to the church where he preaches. What happened did you make the church aware of what happened to Nevaeh?
Nevaeh can better answer that because the church where he ministers, they were in contact with my brother and his wife where Nevaeh was staying.
Okay, so Nevaeh, what happened? Can you describe to us what happened there?
Actually, the day that I called my sister, the day after he assaulted me, when I called my sister, they were having a Father's Day cookout, and Apostle Long and his wife were there. And when they found out he's Apostle Long, he said that he knew him for multiple years, and this is completely out of character. It doesn't sound like him. He would never do that. You know, the normal cliche statement that everybody makes. And he didn't believe me, but his wife told me to stick to my truth.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Stick to your truth, stick to your truth, like everything's gonna be okay.
And so, Mary Alyssa May, I'd like you to jump in here for a second and talk to me about, just break this down for me, please, so that the listeners can understand, and for Nevaeh and her mom. People often think that sexual abuse is intercourse, right? I read your whole story. I read it on social media, Nevaeh. You talked about him taking you down into the basement, putting you right next to him, touching you inappropriately. I read all of that, right? And how you felt frightened. And then one particular night, it just went from just touching your thigh to going further. Mary, break this down for me, please, and let's have a discussion about what this should look like in families. How do you support a child when they're going through this?
So in an initial breakdown, I want to go to the alienation of mom from the child. Yes, they were having, whatever conflict that mom needed resource of the family helping, but that alienation from the child should always be like a red flag, in the sense of, why am I not able to have immediate access whenever I need to speak with my child? Because that means that the power dynamic is in play to get that, engagement from the person who they are seeking to violate. And as long as they can separate you, it's just like as we see it in domestic violence. Once they can separate you from those whom you've trusted or loved on, then they now know that they are building that trust and obligation that you will pretty much accept or receive anything that they do to you. And so it's usually when you're spending unnecessary alone time with the individual, and they're like wanting to have that special attention and time with the young person, they will use that playful touch. They will start bringing up inappropriate jokes or things that are in the adult nature, and then doing things just to see the child's reaction. And as they're looking at the child's reaction, they're building like saying, okay, well, keep this a secret between us, or if you do this, I will buy you X, or if you do this, we will be able to do this special activity. And it's like
Or Mary and listen, man, or no one will believe you. You came here to stay with
I
us
was
because you
getting
had a
there.
child. Nobody believes going to believe what you said.
I was getting there. Yes. Nobody's going to believe what it is that you're saying. Nobody is going to listen to you. Your mom didn't even want you because you guys were arguing about X, Y, and Z. That's how you got here. So I'm your only savior, or I'm your only person that you can like really trust in this situation. And so you have to honor me more. So it's like they try to put the focus on them and what it is that they're doing. And because you hear the situation, you know that you're in conflict with your mother, but you're like beginning to say, okay, in your mind as the child, it's really not that bad. Like, I was arguing with my mom, I was upset, I wasn't cleaning my room, I wasn't doing whatever she was asking, but like I really could go back there and live. But at that point, the adult who's preparing to offend you is not going to release you. They're going to make up some story around what you're doing in the home that you have to stay.
Yeah. Um, what is it that you're asking for now, Nevaeh and Zanisha? What is it that you're seeking now? Because according to you, you feel like you've not been heard. And Nevaeh, you said you were concerned because your uncle are around other children, correct?
Mm.
Yes. He has 8 young children in the home of his own,
He has 8 young children in the home of his own.
3 of which are girls.
Okay. Okay. What is his wife saying about all of this?
She supports him.
Of course. Okay. So what is it that you're seeking to do now, Nevaeh, as a direct result of what happened to you?
I want justice, and I also want like awareness. I want everybody to know that he is not safe to be around. Don't bring your kids around him. Like, he don't bring anybody around him. He's capable of anything at this point.
Zanisha, what are your thoughts? I think I lost her. Hold on. Hold on.
Can I
Zanisha?
make,
Yes.
Okay, hold on. Let me go ahead.
I want to make a
Right.
comment in regards to the 8 children that are in the home.
Yes.
Of the 8 children, there's at least one child who's aware, there's one child who's protecting, and then there's probably, since there's 8, there's someone else who's being violated in that situation. But because that's their father, nobody's going to believe them.
Yes.
It's all type of other unnecessary reasons to become strong,
Yeah.
unnecessary reasons to become like your personal advocate, but you're going to be silenced and shut down because if the mother is in the home and she's saying, or she's in agreement, it's almost like the dynamic is perpetual abuse because maybe she was abused, maybe she is being abused even in this situation that we speak of today.
Right. Zanisha, what do you want to add? What do you expect to come from this? What do you want to
Well,
come from this?
before I got dropped off, I was adding that there were other grooming techniques and tactics that my brother used with Nevaeh that she would better be able to express to you guys than I can. I don't
Okay.
want to use her. I mean, I don't want to. It's better with her using her own words.
Okay, so Nevaeh, what were the other grooming techniques that was happening?
He would tell me about, like, he said that he was raped before. He said that my grandfather, my mom's dad, used to take him with him when he would go and see his ex-wife, or like when she was younger, or when he was younger. He would be in the car for hours, and he would just always try to get close to me and try to relate to me.
Someone says this story sounds so much like the story I remember from Mary Mason's show. Usually, when children are abused, especially by a family member, and this is not just Andrea talking, this is hard data. The person that's the alleged abuser, it takes them time, right? They do certain things, they make you feel like, they're the favorite person, all the things that are going on, all the things that you're describing now. Has anyone else come out and said that he's done anything to them?
Yes.
Really?
not come out like to the internet, but to
Right.
us.
Okay. And are they family members?
Mom.
Are you speaking of?
I don't want
Yeah.
any names. I just want to know if other people came out and
Okay.
said that your brother did the same thing to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes or no?
There was another young lady that where he was inquiring about their a young girl that is in their family.
Okay.
And it was on more than one occasion, and he was under the impression that the young lady was the child. And that was how we got connected to you, Angela.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
That
now I
person's
get it.
family member.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now I get it. So, what are you doing now? Nevaeh, you said you want justice. What does that mean? Have you pressed charges against him?
Yes, the case is still open right now, but
Okay.
they don't seem to really care.
What does that mean? Say
Who
more
was
about
the?
that.
Yeah.
When like we give them information, they don't really take it seriously. The case was closed before, and we got it reopened. Like, we're not stopping.
Was this reported to DHS? That someone's asking that question.
Yes.
And what did they say?
They didn't do anything. They just removed me from the home.
So
They didn't
bottom,
refer to any of the, like, other than DHS, they didn't refer to any of the places for like the assessment to see if abuse is occurring.
I went to the advocacy center.
Okay. And
But
what
that was
research
it.
but that was it.
did that help in any way? Did they give you guidance in regards to next steps on how you can heal, rehabilitate, like have your action plan of justice like executed?
No, it was more so just an interview, so they knew what happened.
And no one has followed up with you?
No.
This is crazy. Okay. So, bottom line, what is it that the both of you are seeking from having this interview with us today?
Mom, you can go first.
We're seeking justice for Nevaeh,
Mm-hmm.
and we're also seeking justice for any other children who have been affected by this type of abuse. And even if it's not for my brother, for other people to feel comfortable enough to come forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Someone else is asking here on Instagram, was a full-blown investigation done by DHS? Example, every child interviewed in the home, etc.
No. And actually, there was another, I think it was a therapist that had also contacted DHS.
About this?
They were told about the incident.
Okay.
And they need another report because they were a mandated reporter. And DHS contacted me and said to me, "Oh, we already, this was already reported, and the child has been removed from the home." And I said, "Well, what about a thorough investigation by you guys?" And she said, "Well, this case is pretty much closed," and was very nonchalant about it.
Mm-hmm.
Mary, Elizabeth, does this sound familiar to you?
It sounds unfortunately too familiar because the system, what I hear and in thinking about the system, if there are 8 other children, they're thinking about, I don't have a place for 8 other children to go.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And so then, because they come from that lens, if they got the child who is reporting, being violated out of the home, I don't have a place for the other kids to go. Is it sufficient? The housing is good. Then what the adults in the home are saying sounds like the children will be safe. Okay, let me close the case and move on to my next case.
This is crazy as hell.
The system is broken. Yeah. The system is
And it's
broken.
been broken for a while. I've had quite a few conversations with social workers who are like, you would not believe the stuff that's going on, that we just can't navigate and manage. Santaya's Lifeline says, if that child was removed, why were the other children not interviewed? And Laverne says, DHS is always failing the children. They are awful. So, what
And
advice do you have for this
And I
mother
think
and
that
daughter?
if we dig deeper, like yes, DHS as the entity needs support. I'm not in a position to say, what would be a bit different. But we also have to think about we live in an urban community where every social worker that is going out to those homes to do the evaluations are not equipped, trained, and or supported to navigate all that they are encountering when they're out there in the community. And when they bring back some of these most challenging, difficult cases, like the one Nevaeh is describing, and probably other situations, they're not supported. They're told to go to the next case. They're told to document, go to court, and keep moving. So if that's the case, because there's so much volume of abuse happening, they begin to grade it a level of sense of urgency and imminent danger. And if they've erased the or removed the
For
imminent
the
danger
child,
of the
right?
child who reported, then
Then they
they're
just move
continuing
on.
to move forward. I mean, yeah.
Oh.
And if there's
Santaya,
another report, we have to be persistent as a community to just continue reporting until the light is shined for not necessarily the entity that's doing the interviewing, but so that we can make sure that the children in the house are safe.
Santaya says safety is a first factor in child abuse cases. You can always escalate the case up the chain of command. She said the social workers are trained very well in how to investigate cases. It was just that particular case, I'm sure. No, 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 because I have done more than enough. Um, I've done more than enough of these conversations. I've had more than enough of these conversations with people and with social workers who call me under the condition of anonymity, that they've had way too much going on and they cannot manage all these cases. And there's so many things that are happening that they cannot fully discuss. And that they're overworked, burdened, and many of them have left, right? The Kuas were going through all kinds of things. So no, it's not just this particular case. There's so
And
many
then
things
let's
happening.
let's not eliminate the fact that the worker who's the case manager of all of this may be triggered because they may have some unidentified, unresolved
Mhm.
situations, and they can only take you to the healing
Mhm.
that they have encountered. And if they don't have, again, that supervision, that support to say, okay, well, take a couple days off, go seek therapy,
Mhm.
go make sure that you're okay because your caseload is kind of
Mhm.
heavy. Yes,
Yeah.
this is the work you signed up for, but that doesn't mean that you have to be
Mhm.
re-abused because of the work that you chose to do.
Simone just wrote and said, um, the church is allowing him to be around youth in the church. So I guess you know who he is too, Simone. This is someone who, a lot of people know, truly, which is why I reached out to the church and I said, can you tell me, what is it is
Mhm.
happening here? How can you, it's just a lot. It's a lot. It's just a lot. Nevaeh and Zanisha, what are your next steps? What supports are you looking for from the, the A Lawful Truth community?
For me, I want other people to speak up and share their stories. I kind of wanted to create a safe space and to also, protect other people and other children so it doesn't happen to them. So you can see the signs and you know what to do.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. And Zanisha?
And I feel the same way as my daughter. And also, I think something important that we should really focus on and think about is that a lot of this is hidden in our families and in our churches. A lot of people are threatened into not saying anything. I know people in my family have told me how upset they are that we reported and spoke out about this. At one point, someone was even threatening to sue my one daughter for defamation of character.
My grandma almost got.
And a lot of times church people would twist scripture into, making it seem like this was nothing, like everyone makes mistakes. I mean, the list just goes on and on. And I want children and even women that are being abused to know that God is a God for justice, and we are to be there for the vulnerable, just like He is. And don't be blindsided by people twisting scriptures or telling them that, they need to forgive and move on, and then the abuse just continues to happen. That needs to stop.
Yeah. Santea's lifeline says, if this is a man of the church, please reveal him. We cannot continue to protect perpetrators of abuse.
We can't.
Yeah.
And that's our social culture that we do. We protect the abusers by not outing them. And when we do that, when we do out them, we have to make sure that we're protected, in all ways, because the threats will come.
Yeah. Monica says, my aunt, no. Monica says, Dr. Mary is totally correct. My daughter is a social worker and has shared this exact sentiment with me. Too many cases, not enough housing or time. The system is overloaded and broken. Simone Culver says he should not be preaching. He should be sat down. This is why most folks don't go to church, quoting scripture and not walking it. So clearly there are people who knows who this gentleman is. Did you want to let folks know who it is, or you just want to keep him off the air?
It's Paul Scott Jr.
Okay, it's Paul Scott Jr., she says. And we did reach out to Shiloh Missionary. They're in Dresher. We tried to find an email. We called, my producer called and left a message that we were going to have this interview, gave them an opportunity to make a statement. There was none given. And they did not return our phone call. Gave them my email address. They did not respond. So, if they're watching this stream, and I'm sure somebody from that church is watching this stream or will be watching this stream, I need you all to help us figure out how to help this young lady and support her, right? And to support her. Jazenia said DHS should have completed a full investigation at the home and the church due to this individual being around other children. He's probably grooming children at the church as well. Why does it have to be more and more children before anybody says anything?
And can I add something to that person's
Yes.
comment or to the show in general? I was dealing with a therapist who had found out that my brother was still ministering and said, well, I have to report the church. And she got a call back from DHS stating that case was already reported and resolved.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Nevaeh, are you in therapy right now?
Not currently, but I was. I have to find a new one since I moved.
I've got a great one. Dr. Mary, can you take another case?
I can.
Okay. I don't know if you can see Mary Alyssa May. Now she's in Delaware, so can we do it online?
Most of my services are virtual anyway, so that works perfectly.
Would you be willing to accept the services from Dr. Mary Alyssa May?
Of course.
Okay.
Let me just be clear. I'm not a doctor, although people keep speaking that into my life.
Therapist. You're a therapist. Okay.
I'm 28 years in as an MFT. Yes.
Okay, so you're a therapist. Okay, you're not a doctor. I keep calling you doctor.
That's okay. People keep saying it recently. They must be trying to tell me something.
If can you let me know what it costs to do her services, please, if she doesn't have insurance? And then we'll try to support her that way. I would really appreciate that from you, because I don't want her to not go.
Right.
If cost is a factor, okay? And I don't want you to just be on here talking about this, Nevaeh, without really getting support. Does that make sense?
Thank
Okay.
you.
You're so welcome.
Yes,
so I'm gonna I know you guys are you guys connected via email to my producer?
I believe so.
Okay. All right. So then continue to talk to each other and just let me know, how that works out. Because Nevaeh, I want you to continue to go to therapy. I don't want you to just stop. And we're going to see how we can help you, support you to continue to stay in the therapy. Okay.
right. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're so welcome. Marguerite says, please let us know how we can contribute to the initial cost of therapy. I will. And anybody else would like to help to donate to her therapy costs, whatever that is, please let us know. Because as a village, this is what I'm talking about when I say the village has to step in and do what needs to be done. Right? It's absolutely important. I can't. I want to thank you both so much for your courage in having this dialogue with us today. We're not just going to have a conversation on air and then drop you. We need to make sure you continue to get help and support. I know you have an open case out here with the police department. Maybe now that you've broadcasted this live, that other people and their family members will come out and talk about it. Because unfortunately, in our community, if it's just one person who is willing, brave enough, nothing happens. But it has to be more that will do. And I'm also praying that your uncle, I know your grandfather, Paul Scott Sr., your uncle, I don't know so well, that your uncle will figure out a way to get some therapy or to have some conversation, or because clearly this is not going away. You are now 18 years old, Nevaeh?
Yes.
Okay. We want to make sure that you are okay as you move forward, you and your mom. Zanisha, thank you so much for joining us, joining your daughter in this conversation so she wouldn't have it by herself in supporting her. I am hoping that you guys have a better relationship. Now go ahead, Mary Elizabeth. She has a
I
question.
just wanted, like, we're focusing on Nevaeh, and that's phenomenal, but we also cannot eliminate mom as well, because mom is experiencing some, concerns that she maybe has not yet connected to as well. So, mom, if you want to do the services together, individual, like, you should consider some support as well.
Yeah, yeah. Mom?
Yes, I definitely need that.
Yeah. Laverne says, I'm glad her mother is supporting her and by her side on this. I'm grateful too.
Yeah.
I'm grateful when mom steps in. You're welcome, Jazenia. You always know that when it comes to young people, we play zero games on this platform. Zero. Absolutely zero. And we want to get to the truth, whatever the truth looks like. And we want to make sure, as Nevaeh has alleged, if this allegation is something that is impacting other people, we want to make sure that we get the uncle help, right? So that this can stop. Because as Santea's Lifeline says, he's probably an untreated victim. He needs help. And with 8 children between him and his wife. Yeah. I want to thank you all so much. I tell you, I had to pray quite a bit this morning before I got on the air to have this discussion, because it is not an easy one to have, and it's also triggering for a lot of people. So for those of you who have been listening, and I know, Monica, you were triggered because it all sounded very familiar to you. I'm sure there are other people watching who this sounds very familiar to, who felt unheard and unseen. And we also I need to have a conversation, a steadfast conversations about pastors in the church and how they use that collar. Oftentimes, this is not a one-time, one-shot deal. We've heard these stories over and over and over again, right? And people are not believed, and they end up leaving the church, and then they don't come back, and then they act out. Things are happening around us in our culture, and we just don't talk about these things. And it's absolutely important to delve into. I thank you both so much. Thank you both so much.
You're welcome. And I also wanted to add that a lot of people stray away from Christianity because they think that that's how Christians are, and that's not how we're supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah, unheard.
Can I also add something?
Yes, darling.
We have a Facebook group, a public Facebook group called Justice for Nevaeh, where we use it to spread awareness and so everyone can share their stories.
So the Facebook group is called Justice for Nevaeh?
Yes.
Naveah?
No, Nevaeh. It's heaven backwards.
Oh, okay.
I love that.
That's what I'm talking about. Hey, now I'll never look at your name the same again.
Right.
Heaven backwards. Thank you, my darling, for being brave in having this conversation. I've seen your page. I appreciate your wanting to have this, because I asked you, why do you want to bring this to this airways? People are going to keep watching this and listening to it, and maybe you'll get some resolution from it. We appreciate your courage and the time you took to come on here and have the dialogue with me. Okay.
Thank you, and thank you for having us.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Thank you for having us.
You're so welcome. Have a good one. Bye bye.
You too.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Mary.
Yeah.
Jesus. Is this an unusual thing?
Unfortunately, it's not. Unfortunately, it's not. From all perspectives, you and I spoke on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
I've had calls from new emerging professionals who work with KUA DHS, who I mentor, who have called me with situations very similar to this. I've had calls come through from other capacities in which I advocate that resemble situations like this. So it's a real thing that's happening. I mean, with us having statistics or not, it's a real thing that's happening like every 74 seconds of the day.
Every 74
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
seconds. Did you say 74 seconds?
I said 74 seconds. That's the resource. When I like looking at this conversation and wanting to come prepared, it says every 74 seconds, someone in the United States is sexually assaulted. And of that, every 9 minutes, that someone is a child.
I have grandchildren, 4 of them.
Yes, they're beautiful from what we can see.
You see me rocking my neck?
I know. That means you loading up the clip if somebody called and told you anything.
Because when my sons were young, and I tell you all this all the time, don't just drop your children off anywhere. They had to come to me 3 days in advance if they wanted to go to a friend's house. I had to go to that friend's house and talk to that friend's parents. I had to walk inside the house. I used my visual senses. And they would say, you don't let us go anywhere. We're boys. Just because you're boys don't mean you can't be, going through anything. And I remember when my oldest was younger, we had a neighbor upstairs that, I would say, can you watch them for a couple of hours for me? And he said, I don't want to go there anymore. He said she made him feel uncomfortable. It was a teenager. But he told me this years later. He said, thank you for listening to me back then, Mom, because I didn't have the words to say to you that I didn't feel comfortable when she touched me, or like I felt, and she was probably being abused, right? So the one time where he felt like something didn't feel right, he said, I don't want to go there anymore. And so I didn't send them anymore, right? And I listened. There were many times when my children were younger, I went nowhere. They went to bed, I went to bed. Because I was not willing to take the risk of sending them somewhere, anywhere, even with people who were family members that I thought I knew, or people that if they don't want to go, that's it. End of story. They don't want to go. And then as they grew older, I kept saying, nope, I need to. And so they were like, we're not even asking, because I know that friends. And that's when they started to say, I see what hope happens in that house. We're not even asking. Goodbye. We're going to be okay. But we have to protect our children, and then teach them how to protect themselves, and teach them how to protect themselves.
Correct.
And too often we hide behind the collar, touch not my anointing, do my prophet no harm, when the prophet is the one that is really causing damage. And I'm not even talking about this particular instance. I'm talking about the many, the zillions. Zillions.
Yeah.
Every 74 seconds, according to the data you just quoted, a child is sexually abused. Someone is sexually abused, and every 9 minutes is a child. You all are looking at these beautiful children that you're giving birth to and carrying them around, and I want to go to this concert, or I want to go to this party. If the child says no,
right,
there's a reason why.
Or you want them to go hug so and so, like you haven't seen them in a minute. We should not ever, like, if a child could read an adult's energy far faster than
they're
we
like
can.
dogs. I'm telling you, children are like dogs. They have a sensitivity chip inside of them that can, even if something's not happened yet, they can go,
right,
and
repel.
the baby's looking all tenuous in that person's hand. Take your baby, pray over them, and don't give them back to that person. Don't force children to go to people that they don't want to go to.
Right.
And the other statistic is, and I don't know how many abusers have been themselves abused.
More times, I don't know the number to that, but usually that's the case. Like, it's usually that they have been violated in some particular way, and they're replicating what have experienced, because sometimes things that feel, I mean, sometimes things that are bad feel good because it's giving you some kind of release, some kind of gratification, whether you're victimizing someone or not. You're looking for your personal win.
Yeah. Wow. 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 There is a story of a young man, and again, I'm not naming folks because I'm always protective of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Whose mother was an educator. It's all in the news. So if I give you the name, you'll be able to find it. Mother was an educator, and he would have his best friend come to stay over and visit them. And next thing they know, mom was found in a parked car, with the best friends with his best friend, and had been sexually abusing the best friend as a teacher. So she's now listed as a child predator, was locked up. But what that did to him, the baby who she was having intercourse with, who was I think 12 or 13 at the
Mm-hmm.
time, then took his life. So I need you all, and so she can never teach again. All the other stuff. I'm not naming names because I just don't want to create a whole hubbub. But that was in the news, and it has changed this person, the complexity of this person's life, because they've been abusive to the people that are around them. They make all these insidious decisions because there was no healing for the child of that mother, who was then locked up, and the child was bounced from place to place to place. You see
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? So when
Yeah.
we don't talk about what our children, when the children are not allowed to freely say what's going on with them, and we say, don't say anything because it's in the family. Don't say anything because it's pastor so and so. Don't say anything because we don't want anybody to come to the house to get in our business.
That is said often. Keep our business in our house.
And so we have so many adults who are so harmed, who are causing pure chaos in other people's lives because we
Mm-hmm.
never saw them.
Mm-hmm.
We never gave them the space to have the dialogue as they should have it.
Correct.
Jasenia said, I used to work with male sex offenders, and most of them were offended when they were younger by women and men. Most of them were, there you go.
Yep.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus.
That has been one of the areas of specialty that I've worked in at a residential and juvenile justice at one point. And it was my caseload was everyone who had either been a victim or a predator, either way, but all of them had been violated in their earlier years.
Yeah. And it makes me want to call my father, who was so overly protective of my sisters and I. We were like, oh my God, we can't go anywhere, we can't do anything. It is a direct result of our parents doing that we didn't grow
Mhm.
up in a space where we were abused. But this happens all the time. When Netta Smith says this conversation was so needed, child abuse is rampant, I commend her and her mother. um Simone says, oh, Viola says, ugh, this show has been phenomenal. Information in more ways than one. Because I'm telling you, this platform is not your regular, average, regular. We're not talking about the things that don't matter to you. While the country is in upheaval for so many people, and
Mhm.
and other news stations are covering that, I'm covering what happens in our daily lives, so we can talk about the things that matter. We can talk about the things that matter. It's been a lot. I have somewhere to be, and my brain felt like it would, because I saw my grandchildren's faces. My son
Mhm.
refuses. Nobody. They had to go to parent teachers conferences this week because the
Mhm.
twins are going into preschool. Guess who had to go twice down that diggity dang highway, 3 hours? And he was like, nobody else is staying with my children.
Right.
And even with my being in the house with them, their cameras, I know they're watching me. I was like, yeah, go ahead, bite me. But I applaud them for
Mhm.
the safety that happens. And as the children are going to school, we're getting geotags to put in their book bags and in their pants pocket. And we listen. touch, play not, is all I got to say. So you all don't even know. Parents are putting geotags in their children's clothes and their shoes and the soles of their shoes. They can hear you. They can hear what's happening with their children.
Right.
So play not with these babies. They know exactly where the location of their children are. They can hear you talking to their children. I'm doing that for my grandchildren. I said to my son, tell me, where did I get these geotags? Because they're going to school in a couple of weeks. Play not. Because I see and hear so much, Mary Elissa May. Ain't no way in America.
Exactly.
Oh, thank you, my sister. I know. I had to get this out. Because I know it took a lot of courage for Nevaeh and her mother.
Absolutely.
To come on and have the dialogue. And I was praying that this church would have been different and said, let us just go ahead and have the dialogue with this sister. Let's make a statement, something. But I knew it was going to happen. But they can't say we didn't reach out to them, right?
Right.
We got to be better, people. We got to be better. So there we go. My darlings, listen, I will not be on the air on Monday. It is Labor Day. Is it Labor Day?
It is Labor Day.
Hey,
yes.
I'm going to labor on to glory. I'm going to stay off the air for the day, and I'll see you on September 2nd. This episode of Mornings with Mother. Thank you so much, Mary Elissa May. And also let me know, you're welcome, my sister. Also let me know, you're welcome, my sister. Also let me know what her cost is to see how we can defray some of the costs for her. Okay. Because I really do want her in therapy. And I don't just want this to be a conversation where she comes on, spills her guts, and then we just move on to the next thing. We got to protect
and I value that.
In word and deed. All right?
All right. Take care. Have a great weekend.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. This episode of Mornings with Mother is officially over. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders. Happy Labor Day to all of you. I'll see you when I see you. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Cheese and crackers. Cheese and everlasting crackers. Yeah, someone here saying cheese and crackers. Bye, everybody.